I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
All right, welcome everyone to the very first episode of the Best Thing We've Seen podcast.
Yeah.
Still unsure about the name, I think.
Yeah. Work in progress.
Work in progress. Well, my name is Florian. People call me Flo, which doesn't make any sense in English because it sounds terrible, but sure. Who are you?
Well, who am I? So some people would identify themselves by giving a name, but I would describe myself. My name's Gabriel. Or Gabo, which is terrible in English. Yeah.
I thought about this, so I think it would be better if I call you Gabe.
Gabe?
Yeah. Do you like that?
Sure. You can take my artist name. What will it be called?
But Gabo, I think that sounds kind of wrong.
No, Gabo is a terrible name, especially for the internet.
Yeah.
I'm going to tear you apart. Yeah, sure.
So Gabe or Gabriel?
Yeah, Gabriel.
Yeah.
I don't really care.
I think Gabe. So, right. So we have no idea what we're doing, but basically what we thought we'd do is we would talk about the best thing that we've seen all week. That could be a movie, it could be a TV show, it could be a YouTube video, it could be anything really. And it would be, I think it would be best if it would be like something new. So something that was released within the last, I would say, like month or so. Obviously it depends because release dates vary all over the world and things come out at different places, and we're in Austria, so we get things quite late, especially movies and stuff. But yeah, I think we just figure this thing out as we go along. So tell them about us, Gabe. How do we know each other?
Love at first sight.
Sure. Sounds like
great
we're Gabo.
Yeah, from school back in the day. What, like 5 years ago?
Too long ago.
I don't know. Yeah. Quite some time.
Yeah. Well, it was 2014, I think it was, when I came to your school. So it was about 6 years ago.
Yeah. I think we really got to know each other about a year after you came there.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think it was 2015, yeah. I remember the very first time that, well, we met at we started talking at a friend's party.
Yeah. I think then we went afterwards.
Yeah.
A little get together at his. We went to a bar and talked about films.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember the movies that we talked about as well. It was 25th Hour. I remember that you told me to watch a couple of movies and I told you to watch a couple.
You told me to watch
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yeah,
Planes, Trains and Automobiles.
Really,
which I still haven't seen.
I completely forgot that I told you about that.
I don't know what I told you. What to watch? I have no idea.
I think it was maybe Donnie Darko, because I hadn't seen that back then.
Yeah, that could very well be.
Which is one of his favorite movies, or maybe.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And then we went to the movies and saw the classic Night of Cups, which
Night of Cups. Night of Cups.
Night of Cups, yeah. Night of Cups, yeah. Terrence Malick's Night of Cups. I think that was the first movie that we saw together.
It is. And afterwards we went to a sneak preview, where we still go every week. And the first movie we saw there together was...
Managed to get rid of him.
He's working on it, though.
Yeah, I'm working on it, yeah.
First film we saw in the sneak preview was Inside Out, the first thing we saw together, because as I understand, you've been going to the sneak preview like quite some time before that.
Right. Well... a little backstory. I was like the very first sneak preview, basically you get to watch a movie and you don't know what it is until the first frame of the movie shows up, but it's always like a film that hasn't been released yet. So I remember the very first time that I went there, and I was like, I went with my dad because I had no idea what this thing was about, and I was like, it can't be that bad, because what's the worst thing that could happen? What's the worst movie that they could show? And then Channing Tatum came on the screen. That sounds terrible. He he showed up on the screen, and it was Magic Mike 2 or Magic Mike
XXL,
I think. Yeah. And I remember looking at my dad because he didn't know what it was, and I was like, "I'm sorry, dude. I did not think it was going to be that movie."
Have you seen the first one at that time?
No.
Huh?
Dude, I didn't want to see the second one. Nothing against the movie. We sat through it, and it was okay. It's just not really my movie. I think I wasn't that interested in it.
Matthew McConaughey, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, he isn't in the second one. I think I don't want to say anything. I think he's only in the first one.
Okay, sure.
But yeah. So that was the only time that I went with my dad because I didn't want to. I think he didn't hate it or anything. He's just I didn't want to take that risk again. And then I went with a friend of ours, Aline. Took her to it a couple of times, and then the group has sort of evolved from that. And then Ben obviously joined us, and then you did. And it was I don't quite remember, but now we're like 6 people who. I think we're 6 people who go like regularly, and we've been going for like 4 years together. So yeah, we're still going to the movies quite a lot together. Obviously once a week to the Sneak, which you get to see a couple of great movies a year, and 80% are pretty bad, but
it's very unpredictable.
Yeah, it is. But
love small British productions.
Yeah, they do.
Which has some cool movies, but most of them are.
Do you remember one of the first ones we saw was A Royal Night Out?
Yeah, it was kind of fun.
Well, it was. I don't know what it was, but I wouldn't call it fun.
That was all right. God, was it the first movie of the year? Could have been. No.
What do you mean?
No, but no, it's not. Wasn't the first movie of the year 2016, or it was one of the last of 2015.
That could
like
be. I think
like
it was
fourth
one of the
sneak, or we went to, and we started going in, I think October or something.
Yeah. I remember the first one was Inside Out, as you said. Yeah. The second one was Sicario, and I remember freaking out because I was so looking forward to that movie, and the very first sentence is like Sicario means hitman in Spanish.
It's an assassin for the cartel or something.
Right. And then I just knew immediately that was the movie that I was hoping to see, and it was great. So there are some good movies in there as well. Yeah. What was the best sneak film that we've seen together? Do you know?
Well, one of my favorite memories of Sneak is Inside Out, because it was the first one. I didn't know what to expect. Yeah. And I was kind of looking forward to the movie because I love Pixar.
Okay. So you knew about the film?
I knew about it. And, I didn't expect to see it right then.
Right.
Which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, I don't know. We've seen a lot of great films. Also, one of my favorites was Shape of Water.
Yeah, the one we didn't see together. I love it.
Well, we were in the same.
We're in the same,
room.
In the same room,
like 3 rows apart.
Yeah.
But it ended up being my favorite movie of the year.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Right.
And for you, what's your favorite sneak experience?
I think I like it's not necessarily the best movies, but I remember like the reveals of the films that I didn't think they would show. So I remember watching Killing of a Sacred Deer. I had. Like, because the first 5 minutes, I had no idea what movie that was, because it was like a surgery, I think. And then when I knew what it was, I was like, oh yeah, because I was so looking forward to that, and that came out late as well in Austria. Or same thing for Green Book, because they showed that at like a month before it came out, and I was super excited to see that as well. But the best sneak film, I don't even know. Probably Nocturnal Animals, because I love that movie.
Yeah,
I love that movie. I remember that
very cool surprise.
Yeah, I remember that we sort of afterwards we went home, and then I was like, no, let's go back and let's go grab a beer.
I was there. I
want to talk about that movie.
Took off my shoes.
Yeah, I remember. All right, so let's just we just want to try this out, see how this goes. So we're just going to talk. We love movies. We love TV. Obviously, Gabe knows a lot more about TV than I do, because I used to watch a lot of TV. I don't anymore.
TV is kind of a difficult subject because I'm not very up to date. What I watch, or used to watch a lot, is cartoons.
Right, which I know nothing about.
Yeah. But like all those new shows like I know Westworld and anything, I have no idea.
Right, but that's like difficult because...
Or Chernobyl.
Right, but because these things, they aren't released in Austria.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's usually those HBO shows they like, or Showtime shows, or AMC or whatever it is. Like if you want to watch that, like legally, you have to wait till it comes out on Blu-ray, or you have to pay like a huge subscription for Sky, which doesn't work, which you've tried before.
Yeah, or you gotta buy each season on
Amazon.
Amazon Prime,
Yeah.
which is also very fucking expensive.
Yeah.
Can we swear?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
We have no idea what we're talking about, so we can do whatever we want.
All right.
No one's going to hear this.
No, okay.
No, don't do it. So, yeah, let's just talk about it, man. Let's try this out. So what was the best thing that you've seen this week?
Saying this week because we're recording on Tuesday.
Yes.
So I'm just taking the past 7 days,
Sure.
including last Tuesday.
Sure. I know what you're
Because,
going to... Yeah, I know what you're going to say. Yeah.
We went to a sneak preview and we saw Little Women,
Right.
which I thought was great.
Sure.
Had a great time. And the second thing I saw on Thursday was Jojo Rabbit.
Right.
So start off Little Women. I was looking forward to both these movies because Oscar season is coming up.
Yeah, it's two of those examples that the movies, they just take forever to come to Austria because they've obviously been released like a month ago in the US.
Great about a sneak preview because some movies
Sure.
come out after the Oscars,
Yeah.
which kind of sucks for us.
Yeah.
Because kind of takes away the tension when you watch the Oscars, which we do every year.
We do them. Yeah,
we do. Yeah,
we host them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, that was, I don't know, a pleasant surprise because I knew the movie was supposed to be really good, but I am not.
Little Women now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of the other pieces.
Yeah. Me neither.
Yeah, but it was surprisingly fun, and I think it had a very good sense of humor.
Sure.
One of my favorite moments was the moment when Bob Odenkirk
On the show.
on the movie, just the whole
Yeah.
room started laughing.
Yeah.
I kind of feel bad for that man.
Yeah, sure.
He's branded for life, at least for the next couple of years.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. With Little Women, I knew that it wasn't really. I wasn't that interested in the topic of the film or whatever. So I knew that going into it or when it came up that I wasn't going to love it, just because of the premise, which I'm just not a huge fan of.
but I think it was still a very cool look at growing up with siblings, which I did.
Right, I didn't do that, so yeah, I can understand that you relate to that.
And
I like the cast.
the cast was great.
Yeah, I like everyone I like everyone who's in there. But
I thought it was cool to see. Dude, I'm so sorry that I forgot her name. Florence.
yeah, Pugh. Yeah.
Pugh.
Yeah, she's booming right now.
Yeah. I thought she was great. Also Midsommar, which I also freaking loved.
Yeah,
And we kind of a big contrast because those are like 2 movies I saw with her recently.
yeah. She
Two
had 3
big
this year.
moves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had Fighting with My Family as well, which is great. But yeah, she's nominated for Little Women.
Yeah. As best supporting, yeah, I heard. But it was kind of weird to see her in such different roles.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah, she's
great.
good.
Yeah.
She's good. But I don't want to say that it didn't enjoy the film. I was entertained the whole way through. But it's just something I read something that sort of summed up my feelings about it, which is like I enjoyed it, but as soon as I'm out of the cinema, I'm like I don't remember anything particularly fondly or whatever. So it's just sort of it goes into one eye and out of the other, basically. But I don't want to trash talk it because it's obviously well made and Greta Gerwig is a great director. I just didn't connect to it. But yeah. And Jojo.
Yeah.
Talk about Jojo. I saw that one at a film festival back in the day.
I saw it on Thursday because a friend of mine had an extra ticket.
Yeah.
So I saw it with him. And let's say
Talk about what the movie's about.
yeah, all right.
Anyone who doesn't know.
For whoever's been living in a cave for the last couple of months.
Well, I don't know if people don't really. I mean, it's been out here for like a week, not even a week.
Yeah, I saw it on day of
On Thursday,
release.
right?
Yeah.
So now
Just
it's a
Thursday.
couple of days afterwards, but it's like people don't really like consume movie news the way that
I
we
guess
do,
not,
I
but
guess.
I think especially in Austria, people
Right,
will know about it
this
because
one is an
it is
an exception. Yeah.
about the Nazi regime,
Yeah.
which Austria was a part of.
Sure.
And so it's kind of always kind of weird seeing a movie which is supposed to be a comedy but still set in that time,
Right.
which has a lot of bad association for a good reason.
Right.
But I thought it was very well done in the way they did the comedy, because I think you walk kind of on a fine line when you try to make fun of something that weird and terrible, which still a lot of people have very vivid memories of.
Sure.
But I thought it was great, especially, when seeing it in English, I think actors doing an accent become tedious very quick.
Yeah.
which is why I thought it was great that in Death of Stalin they didn't do any accents.
Right.
It worked great for the movie.
Right.
But for another reason, I think it worked great in this movie is because the German accent in English is quite funny.
Yeah.
It's very comedic. So I
It
thought
can
it
be, yeah.
worked great for that movie, especially for characters like Sam Rockwell's character or Rebel Wilson's character,
Right.
which were supposed to be just ridiculous.
So basically, what the film is about, that a young boy has an imaginary friend who's
Adolf Hitler.
Yeah. And he was
Played by the director, Taika
Taika
Waititi.
Waititi.
And it's about the difficulty of a family because the boys in Hayat, Hitlerjugend, which is kind of Boy Scouts for Nazis,
Right.
in a nutshell. And he finds out that his mother's hiding a Jewish girl in his
Right.
house, and he's an extreme Nazi, the kid. Or he thinks he is.
Well, he's
kind
sort of trained
confused,
to be one, yeah.
It's about brainwashing and
Right.
how easily you absorb that kind of ideology when you're at that age. Because if you think it's fun, you at the beginning you see them kind of going to a camp and learn about Jews and how to shoot rifles and how to throw grenades and
Right.
all the weird fucking parts of the Nazi ideology. And how ridiculous it is when you look at it from an outsider's perspective. But then also you see how easily kids absorb it, because if you kind of create it in a fun way and make them feel good, they get sucked into it very quickly.
Yeah.
And I think the movie was great because it had a great balance between great comedy, especially the friend of Jojo, his best friend. I thought it was his name.
Yeah, Archie, I think his name is.
Maybe.
I don't know.
He was great.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah.
And between the more emotional moments,
Right.
which I don't want to spoil anything,
Yeah.
but they kind of stay with you for a while.
Sure.
I think because it does it deals with a very real problem.
Sure. I think it balances the humor and the drama really well,
great.
which is such a difficult
Especially
thing
towards
to
the
do.
end, because
Yep.
it switches between huge laughs in the audience and between very sad moments.
Yeah.
Moments during which I teared up a little.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. And it's like 5 minutes of this, 5 minutes of that, and I think it didn't get tedious.
Yeah.
Great balance. Which why I thought the movie was great. It also looked great.
Yeah,
I
it
think,
did, yeah.
I think it was filmed in Prague. So
I
in
don't
a
know,
real
maybe,
city.
yeah. Sure.
It kind of looked like a German city, which I felt kind of gave it more authentic feel.
Yeah.
And
It's got a great cast as well, because the mother is played by
Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, double
who's
nominations
great.
this
Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
I
Has
get
that ever been
that.
done?
Yeah, I think it has been done.
Hmm.
But it's her first time being nominated ever. So she's been nominated twice.
Really?
And it's the first nomination she ever got, yeah.
Hasn't she been nominated for?
No.
No,
Very first
Lost in
nomination.
Okay, crazy.
Yeah. And one of my favorites is Stephen Merchant, who's the...
Gestapo officer.
Yeah, I love that guy. And I
He's
think
great.
he's great in that film as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So a lot of people, I think, are sort of scared about going into this film because it's obviously it looks like it's making fun of things that you're not supposed to make fun of. But when you watch it and you see that it has a lot of heart, and then it is making fun of certain things, of course, but it's also telling a very poignant and good and important story, I think.
Yeah.
So I can recommend that film as well. I think it's great, and it's Taika Waititi who did Thor Ragnarok, which I didn't like, but he did one of my favorite films of the last decade, which is What We Do in the Shadows.
Well, something I think both for Ragnarok and Jojo Rabbit do is they have a lot of comedy and a lot of kind of comic relief to take the tension off the more tense scenes. But I think Jojo Rabbit did a better job at this.
Yeah.
Because it didn't make it as ridiculous. I mean, of course, with Marvel movies, you can be way more ridiculous because so not as...
Well, it's not such a difficult subject.
Touch subject for many people,
Yeah.
For good reason. But, yeah, I think comparing like all of his movies, also I think Hunt for the Wilder People.
Yeah.
He has a great way of doing this comedy with weird characters who kind of live in their own world, who's Jojo, who thinks what he does
Yeah.
is right, or Hunt for the Will People, who's
Yeah.
a kid who
Yeah.
thinks, well, he has to be on his own. He's kind of a gangster.
Yeah.
I think he does it great, in
Yeah.
a great way.
No, I agree. I just didn't think that the sort of humor that they went for in Thor Ragnarok I didn't think it fit the universe, and it doesn't fit in the whole Thor saga either, and as well as the whole universe. Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of that film, but I'm a fan of Waititi's for sure. I think he's a great director.
Yeah, I still haven't seen In the Shadows.
What We Do in the Shadows,
What We
yeah,
Do,
it's one of my favorites of the decade.
Yeah.
Like in terms of comedies,
Yeah.
I think it's just great. It's funnily enough, it's like The Office, which Stephen Merchant wrote.
Mhm. He wrote?
Yeah, the UK version, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
with Ricky Gervais, and that's sort of What We Do in the Shadows is sort of the same mockumentary style filmmaking, which I'm a huge fan of. So yeah, so the best thing that I've seen this week is I haven't seen a lot this week, so I'm gonna go with I've seen Little Women this week. I've seen I don't know if I've seen any other recent film. I'm gonna have to go with 7500. Is that what it's called? 7500? 7500?
Yeah.
It's Joseph Gordon-Levitt in a cockpit.
It's a great description.
Yeah, and it's by an Austrian filmmaker, which is exciting. Which is someone that I know that a friend of mine knows because they went to the same university together. And I'm a huge fan of sort of these contained thrillers in like one location. So I was really looking forward to this one. And it's basically about a terrorist attack happening while you see the whole terrorist attack told like from the cockpit's perspective. So you're basically the whole time you're inside of the cockpit while a terrorist attack is going on, and people are trying to get into the cockpit. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt is one of the pilots. Yeah, he's the co-pilot. And we talked about this before, but I really liked it up until like, I don't know, like 50 minutes in. There's something's happening like 50 minutes in that I wasn't a huge fan of. But the first like 50 minutes I thought it was great. Obviously, also another difficult subject matter because it sort of plays with the fear that a lot of people have. Very real fear. This is not like a true story, but obviously it happens as well. But yeah, I think Levitt is great again in this. I'm not a huge fan of his, but I think he's pretty good in this one. And I like the way that they told it just out of one location, and they sort of filmed the camera that the cockpit has that they have like up on the wall, so you can see it what's going on through the screen.
Mm.
And I was engaged throughout the whole thing. I really liked it.
Yeah, I think the kind of minimalist approach of just showing the cockpit really helped with building a sense of, I don't know, being trapped in there.
Yeah,
you can't leave.
that's a good point. Yeah,
You can't go. Yeah. I thought the movie was pretty good and what it did. I'm not a huge fan of movies who just like to keep you tense for like 90 minutes.
right.
I think it kind of gets tedious, and I just.
Well, that's the point of this film.
It is. Yeah, I guess. I'm personally, I'm just not a huge fan of it. But as far as movies go that talk about like terrorist attacks or make you want to make you feel kind of trapped, did a great job of that.
Yeah.
And just.
Do you have like another example of one of those films that sort of keeps you tense the whole time that you didn't really like? Because I can't think of one.
That I didn't really like.
Or maybe you liked it, but it's sort of like, because it reminded me of The Guilty, which
The Guilty has kind of slower moments because he's not actually in danger in that movie, and you kind of get more tense when the protagonist is in danger.
Sure, but I would, yeah. Obviously, it's similar because it's in one location, which I love. But you sort of, I was tense throughout that film. Sort of wondering what was going to happen to the person that he's talking to on the phone.
Yeah, I mean,
obviously it's difficult because you don't see the person.
Yeah, it wasn't as tense because you kind of get to imagine it.
Yeah.
Which I think is the great thing about the movie.
Yeah.
The Guilty, which is, whoever doesn't know about a emergency operator for the police who gets a call about the woman who says she's being kidnapped.
Yeah.
And the whole movie is just of the perspective of the person operating the phone.
Yeah.
You don't see anything else.
Yeah.
It's great.
And it's great because I think she's like ordering pizza. It's like one of those things.
She wants to say goodbye, good night to her children.
But why is she calling him then?
She wants to go home.
Oh,
she
come
pretends
on,
like
she's
go
calling
to home,
home.
go to bed, and so on.
Okay.
No, I think you got the wrong number. No, I don't think I do.
Okay.
Something like that. I think you think about pizza because I think I told you about the pizza story because I told you I recently played a game called 911 Operator, where you play a operator and you get some choice what to say, and somebody calls in for a pizza because it's all real stories of people who actually called the police.
Right.
And
I think I'm mixing it up with something else because I saw like a real life story about something like this happening.
Yeah, it actually did happen. I think that's where the people in the game got the idea.
mixing a couple of things here.
Yeah. Anyway,
but I just the guilty. I love that movie because you literally have the camera on the operator the whole time, so it's basically like you're playing the whole film in your head.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see anything other than the operator, and he's sort of trying to help that woman who's in a very, very bad situation. So what you liked 7.5? I don't know what it's called. 7,500.
it was a cool movie. Cool movie is kind of a weird way to describe it, but I liked it. But it's not a movie that I would rewatch necessarily, or not a movie that I would recommend to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people just don't like those kind of movies a lot because it is a real fear that people have. You don't need to kind of push it on those kind of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
But you don't need to watch it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because you say you don't need to play with the fears of the people. I mean, you don't.
No,
you
that's
don't
why
need
I
to watch
wouldn't recommend it.
Sure. Okay, that's
What
a
I
fair
mean.
point. Yeah. You have to know what you're getting yourself into. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was a cool movie. I thought what I talked to you about like last week. Mild spoilers, just so you know. I thought it was cool that although it was from the perspective of the cockpit, I think a large part of the movie told more the story of one of the terrorists than it did of the pilot.
Right.
If you remember.
Sure.
Which I thought was kind of an interesting perspective on how you can get dragged into this kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
Yeah.
I think it's sort of the more interesting thing because you don't really need to know about the pilot. It's just he's trying to...
The pilot is kind of...
do the right thing.
Yeah. He's
trying to land the plane safely.
Just whoever. Doesn't need to be a pilot.
Yeah. Well, you sort of get to know a little bit of his backstory as well. And there's some tragic things that happen throughout that, which are devastating. But yeah.
But he could have been, I don't know, a Miss stewardess who could have been trapped in the cockpit.
I know what you mean.
You kind of need to fly the plane for that to work. But just it's kind of more interesting to see the other point of view because you rarely do that in movies like, I don't know, Boston or
Patriots Day.
Patriots.
You keep calling it Boston, which is the German title. Yeah. I know you're talking to our people. I love Patriots Day. Yeah. But that's like a tense film as well.
It is, but
it's not nonstop. I agree.
It's not nonstop because you kind of switch between perspectives, and when you get to the kind of J.K. Simmons part,
you love J.K. The badass that is J.K. Simmons.
It kind of turns into an action movie for like 10 minutes.
You're talking about the end.
Yeah.
Well, sure. Yeah, I agree. He's badass in that film. Mm-hmm. But he's got like a small part.
He's badass always.
He is, yeah. Oh, dude, he's got some great movies. But so as we said before, we just this whole format or whatever, we're just trying to figure out what sticks really. Yeah. So I also wanted to talk about some of the older stuff that you've seen this week that you liked, and that could be like a YouTube video or anything. Did you see anything interesting there, or maybe a TV show? Because you told me that you started to rewatch something that you liked. Yeah,
I started rewatching two things. First of all, Futurama, which I just fucking love. I kind of watch through that series like once a year.
How many seasons is there? Are there
7, 8?
Oh, it's only 8.
Yeah.
It's not like Simpsons. Like
no, they got canceled twice.
Okay. So how many episodes per season?
The first season's like 9 episodes, and after that's like 20.
Okay.
Until season, I think 5 or 6. I think 6, because after season 4 or 5, whatever, they got cancelled.
Okay.
And they came back, and at first they got produced by Fox, and after that they got produced by, I don't know, Comedy Central, I'm not sure. And after that, they could swear, and they have kind of more adult episodes. And they had less episodes, but they were great. So I think, I don't know, it's like 20 episodes per season, and later it's like 10, 15.
Yeah, I've only seen like bits and pieces on TV back in the day. I was never interested in that really.
Yeah, I used to watch it always with my brothers. It's the first show I think I saw in English.
Okay.
Which got me into the English language. Yeah. Kind of helped me through school a little, which was kind of weird, but it did help.
No, that's
if you
not weird at all. Yeah, if you watch a lot of shows.
The language, you
sure.
kind of get a feel for it. And the second thing was California On.
What? Sorry?
California On.
California On. Is that something
It's an
new?
interview show on YouTube by Kasim G. Which
I used
to. No, it's like the first episode was uploaded like 10 years ago, and the last like 7 years ago.
Okay.
They used to watch it all the time when I was in school.
Okay. What's that
for
about?
It's a guy goes along Venice Beach and interviews stoners about California on, I don't know, porn on
certain subject, a different subject,
marriage, whatever.
Time. Okay.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know.
So you're rewatching that as well?
Yeah. Okay. Well, rewatching it. When I don't know what to do, or like when I'm cooking, like I watch a couple of episodes,
right?
Just for nostalgia's sake.
Okay.
What have you been watching?
Well, if we're counting last Tuesday, I finished Sex Education Season 2 on Tuesday, and I love that show. That's not.
Did you prefer the first or the second season?
I don't know. I really don't. I think there's some. I don't know. You prefer the first one, but I really like the second one. It's like I don't watch a lot of shows because I don't really get sucked into it, and I don't really like spending like 10 hours at a time watching a show or whatever. Or I don't really find myself coming back to shows. I watch a lot of first episodes sort of to see if it gets me. But Sex Ed, I remember the first season. I loved that. I watched that relatively fast for me because I usually take
binge watcher.
Forever. Yeah, I'm definitely not. I've never binge watched anything.
Really?
No.
Crazy.
Like if I consume something quickly, it's like maybe 2 episodes a day, but like I'm not every day. I remember watching Lost back in the day, and that I really loved that show, and I consumed that rather quickly. But the most I watched was like 2 episodes a day, and spread out through the week as well. But Sex Ed, I watched within like a week. I think even less than that. I really like that show, and I like the storylines, man. I like the whole. I think it's just, even though that I can't relate to every storyline. I just think it's well done, and I can see other people relating to it, and I think it's important that they do. I think it's great.
I think the great thing, about the show is because you said you can't relate to all the storylines. That's a great thing about the show because they have a lot of different perspectives on sexuality and teenager romance, which is great because everybody can find a character that they identify with. But because I don't know, I think season 2 just kind of got weaker in the second half.
I agree. We talked about this before, and I think you made a good point about certain things just working out.
Yeah.
Everything works out, basically. Well, not everything, but in real life, things don't always work out the way that they do in this show. Even though not everything works out, obviously. But
always have kind of a hiccup, so they can make another season.
Yeah.
Every show.
True.
But also, mild spoiler for season 2, episode 1.
Yeah.
His compulsive masturbation.
Right.
Which is kind of built up as this huge thing. He even kind of masturbates in a car, which is like this big thing because he wasn't able to masturbate before that.
Yeah.
No, you can't stop. They showed it for that for like 20 minutes. And that's it. Problem resolved. Never gets talked about in the entire season again.
Well, because he has a girlfriend.
Yeah, sure. But come on. One season build up of he can't masturbate to he does it excessively for like 20 minutes.
I love it, yeah.
I think they could have
like
taken
30 minutes in and we already talked about masturbating.
They could have taken like 2 or 3 episodes at least.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Sure, why not? But I just think it's sort of like they built that up in the first season, and then they have to talk about it in the second one, so they just throw it all out in the first like 20 minutes or whatever it is. Yeah,
but I think they took it to an extreme, which
I agree. Yeah. It's not a bad point. I agree. Yeah. So, where were we?
Sex Ed.
Yeah, that's true. So I assume that I think that show is such a big hit. I think everyone who's interested in it has already seen it or is currently seeing it.
Yeah, I hope they can keep it up for another season.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, not that they're gonna do another season, because I think that's already confirmed. But I think that they can keep the story arcs up.
Well, I don't know if it's. I'm pretty sure it's confirmed because of the success and the way that the second season ends sort of implies that there will be a third season, which makes sense. And sort of another thing that I've seen, which I don't know if it counts as new. It doesn't have to, but do you remember maybe a year ago, I sent you a link of a stand-up guy that I loved on YouTube, he's called Andrew Schultz, I think his name is.
No idea.
And he talks a lot about like bedroom stuff or whatever. And I remember linking you a video that I absolutely loved, and I sort of rewatched a couple of sort of like 4-minute clips on YouTube of his, which are just great.
You're big into stand-up.
I wouldn't say big. There's a couple of people that I love, but I think most of it I can't really listen to. Like, I'm a big fan of some of the Austrian guys who don't really do like stand up anymore. Like some of my favorites, Hara or Nivarani.
What's up with that guy? Haven't heard anything from him in a long time.
He played in a, what was it, like a Shakespeare play? Or he played together with John Cleese as well.
With John Cleese?
Yeah,
really.
They were together. They had a couple of dates together. Yeah, at the Globe.
That's pretty cool.
Sure. I don't remember exactly what it is that they were doing. I'm gonna look it up real quick. You gotta talk about something while I look this up.
All right. Let's take some ad breaks.
Cut to our non-existent.
Who wants to sponsor us? Yeah. We're gonna do anything. Just to be clear, we're gonna talk about anything if you pay us. Yeah, dude. Hard to think.
Yeah, I know.
Talking about stand-up, we had a kind of a cool stand-up date. Going to the Bill Burr show.
Sure.
Was
how long ago was that?
It must have been pretty much exactly a year ago.
Yeah.
I think it was in January 2019. Yeah.
I can't find it. Doesn't matter. Sorry.
And we saw Paul Verzi there, which I didn't hear anything
no idea.
about.
I know who it is. I would not have been able to name that name.
Yeah, I heard he's kind of blowing up right now in
the
US. Yeah,
he was great.
Yeah,
he was great.
I hope
he was sort of the warm-up act for Bill Burr. Yeah, and that was at the same venue that Cleese and Nirvana played. Yeah.
Maxhalla.
Yep. I think because I think that belongs to Nirvana. I think so.
Wow.
I might be saying a lot of wrong stuff, but yeah, he's also the head of the Cabaret Simple.
Oh, okay.
So he's sort of doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes, I think.
Yeah, he's kind of a comedy legend in Austria.
Yeah. And Hada is doing his same stuff over and over again.
Yeah, and he's gotten really big into movies the last like 5 to 10 years.
Yep. Also, isn't he directing as well?
It could be, yeah.
Is he? I think I might. No, that's wrong. I'm not sure. But Bill Burr, that was great. Yeah. I remember that. You took me because I was sort of a last minute thing because you.
Because my girlfriend gave me 2 tickets for Christmas or my birthday. I don't remember, and she got sick last minute. But
because I'm not a huge fan of his, but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. It was better.
I was just glad to go with somebody because I think comedy is always more fun with you when you have a second person.
For sure.
And especially when the audience is great. Because I don't know, if the whole room is laughing, everything seems funny.
Sure, for sure.
Makes the whole night
the movies
funny.
as well.
Yeah. Having a great audience, which I did watching Jojo Rabbit.
Jojo, you talked about that. Yeah.
I think you have a bad audience who do not really like the topic or the kind of humor,
right?
Especially with Jojo, and you have kind of a cynical audience. Kind of the whole movie doesn't seem as good.
For sure.
Which is why I was so fucking. So I shouldn't swear. Should I swear?
I don't know.
Okay, let's fucking swear. Which is why I was so fucking happy to have a great audience.
Every second word is gonna be fucking.
What are you fucking?
What did you
which is why I was so happy to have a great audience because I sat next to a friend, Julian's mom.
That's her name.
Yeah.
She knows.
Gabrielle. Yeah. And she laughed a lot.
Yeah.
Which I loved.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. It's always good for sure. It enhances some of the worst movies if you have a good audience. Yeah. Well, to a certain extent, yeah.
Gotta make a trash movie.
We laugh at the bad parts, yeah. So what can we recommend this week? What did we talk about? So basically, the two
Bill
films
Burr.
that we recommend watching Bill Burr. Yeah, I don't know. Is he coming
special.
back? Because he said that he was going to come back and
I
he
think
loved it.
He's
apparently.
planning to do another Europe tour, but I don't think he has any dates set.
Right.
But yeah.
Do you remember that at the end? He was like, "That was one of the best shows," which he obviously says at every show.
Yeah.
I'm aware of that, but still,
Well,
it's
the
always
show
just-
we went to
feels
was the very last show of his Europe tour.
good. Yeah.
Which is
I think it was
pretty
his second Vienna trip as well. Like, didn't he? Not
the
trip,
second show on the same day.
on the same day. Wasn't it like the day
5
before?
hours before we came.
Oh, okay.
That was supposed to be the last show, but I think it was
Due to demand,
sold out
Yeah.
so fast that he booked in another show.
right?
Yeah.
All right. So the two films that you talked about, Little Women and
Jojo.
that those are. I think Little Women isn't even out yet, is it? I think it comes out this weekend.
January 31st.
Yeah. So you have one recommendation from Gabe. You don't take my disliking as like because
First of all, let's see if we upload this, and if we do,
it's not
when
gonna
we
happen.
upload this.
Yeah,
All
it's not
right.
gonna happen.
So
it's probably been out for like a month. Good luck finding it. Jojo Rabbit, obviously, that's a recommendation from the two of us. Good film. And 7500. I don't know what. I'm sorry.
if you're into that kind of movie,
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah. If you're into contained thrillers
Yeah.
and stuff, then just know that you're getting what you're getting yourself into, and you're gonna have a tense time.
Yeah.
And watch California On. Is that like hugely popular? It's like millions.
It
of views?
was.
It was. So
It-
there's no new episodes.
No. Like the last California On episode was like 6 years ago.
Oh,
He did a
okay.
huge maker studio. What was it called? That he sold that to Disney for hundreds of millions of dollars,
Of course,
from which
yeah.
he got a big fucking part.
Right.
Which is, I think why he stopped.
Okay.
'Cause he was
Doesn't need
just
to do
insanely
anything
rich.
anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
just. I think he now started another podcast, which is why I
Which
kind
is
of got the idea to
What everyone's
rewatch.
doing nowadays. Yeah. I don't know what they're thinking.
So yeah, I think he's set for life.
Yeah. Well, okay. So
And thank you for listening.
yeah, if
whoever you are.
anyone is listening to this and has been listening throughout the whole thing,
Get a life.
no, dude.
No, thank you.
Thank you for listening. Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll do this again sometime. And yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
All
All right. Bye.
See ya.